Dropbox. All right, so can you see me? Can you hear me? All right, good. Okay, you can hear me now, and you can see me now. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna get started. Rooker's working on the slides. I really wanted to upgrade our sound, so I had this microphone and I was trying to get all fancy, and apparently getting all fancy is not what we're gonna do today. So we're gonna keep it real. And if we don't have slides, we're still gonna have an amazing, amazing talk. I do have a handout. If you have time, grab a pen, grab some paper, and you can print out a handout if you go to stephjackson.com/handout7. Handout and then the digit 7. So there are quite a few pages of the handout. I get a little nerdy sometimes, but I really wanted to have space for you to take notes and write stuff down. And we're gonna have some Q&A time afterward. So it'd be awesome if I could A, your cues, and you could have space to write that down too. And there's some pretty pictures, but even if you print them out in black and white, they're gonna be handy. All right, so, yeah, while Rooker moves stuff around, we're gonna get started. So we're here to really talk about customizing probiotics for you, okay? For you, for your body,
or for your loved ones. So for the people that you care about the most and that you know intimately. I wanna thank you for being here. This is like the middle of the day on a weekday. I think we're all very fortunate to have circumstances that allow us to make the choices like this. Health. I realized the other day that no, not everybody gets to pick their own schedule. People have stuff to do, people have to work, people have to take care of their families, and just the fact that you're here is a big deal. You could be organizing your toothbrushes or alphabetizing your spices, but you could also be doing stuff that just seems really important right now. But I swear to you, we are going to do something important here, and you will walk away with something that can help you right away. Okay, so pen. I can try to stick to topic, but if we go off on questions and stuff, please have a pen. Apparently Mercury's in retrograde, so I don't know about replays. I don't know about anything. All I know is if you have a pen, you can write stuff down. Okay, so today we're going to cover how gut bacteria can zap our energy, or how they can help us to have abundant energy. We're going to talk about how our digestive bacteria can impact our immunity, both negatively and positively, and specific strains that can go either way. We're going to talk a little bit about testing and which sorts of tests can help you to decide which bacteria might be right for you at this time. Or we're just going to talk about symptoms and probability, things that might be going on and what you can do. Some very low risk things you can do at home with real food and real bacteria to get started reclaiming your digestive health. Really the root of the tree of health, if you will. So we're going to also talk a little bit about the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when they start making yogurt, non-dairy probiotic foods at home. And I've got Jasper here, my son, and who is going to show you how to make a yam-gurt today. It's awesome. So he's peeling yams, and we're going to do a little bit of troubleshooting with you there and talk about some different bacteria that you could add to your yogurt and some different ways that you could make it. All right. So Rooker, we're on the slide. This was me, if you're able to go there. So shortly after Jasper was born, I got really, really tired. And by tired, I mean really tired, exhausted, couldn't get off the couch, fatigued in an extreme way, body pain, black and swollen joints. I don't know if you've heard my story, but I was really at a low point, and especially because you have these ideas, or I had these ideas of what kind of parent I would be, what kind of business I would have, where I'd be at when I was 30. I really didn't think I'd be crashed out on the couch and not able to give my son a hug because it would hurt so much, right? So I was letting myself down. I was letting down the people around me, and I was at a really low point. I also tend to bite off more than I can chew, pun intended. So I had started a yogurt company because I was looking to find something amazing to feed him. And I was working on researching all the amazing bacteria that I could put into this yogurt. And so I was sitting on all this great research. I've been just researching, and like PubMed and I were so close, hours and hours every day. And meanwhile, I was not able to do the basic things that I needed to take care of myself because I didn't have the energy. So finally it dawned on me after many fruitless doctor appointments and specialists that I was the only person that was going to be able to take care of me. The knowledge that I had, nobody else had that knowledge, not just knowledge about the bacteria, the new stuff that's coming out, but knowledge about my body. I can't sit down for an hour and explain to somebody what's really going on with me. There is no way that anybody is going to put the time into it that I'm going to put in. There's no way that anybody can save my life except for me. So I applied what I knew. I applied what I had been learning, and I got better. And I got a lot better. I got better, in terms of my mood. I got better in terms of my body, and so many things. My body pain went away. So many things that we just take for granted about the way we're living. And then it's like these niggly little things go away, and it's like, oh yeah, I can do this now. So yeah, we're really here to talk about customizing probiotics foods for common challenges for you or for your loved ones, which is what I did. And the truth is, I love designing yogurt. I love designing yogurt recipes, but I love more helping people. I love more teaching people the skills that they need to help themselves. Just making the same yogurt recipe over and over again is not as rewarding as giving you the tools that you can really customize something. I love customizing stuff, Okay, so let's talk about exhaustion. No matter what someone comes to me with, no matter what the complaint is, it always involves some form of exhaustion, some form of low energy, some wishing that we could do more or wishing that we could just do what we need to do to get by. We're all barely scraping by, and a lot of that is too much on our plates. But when the fatigue is not normal, right? It's human to be tired. It's not human to not be able to get off the couch to make a meal for your family or for yourself, right? So exhaustion. And at some level, when there's some inflammatory or immune process going on in our body, this is what happens. There can be so many causes of this. It's a big process of elimination thing, trying to ask why and why and why, and go deeper and deeper and see what's going on in our bodies that could be causing us to feel tired like this. But I will say that without good digestive health, we really can't reclaim all of our energy. There's always going to be a certain amount of drain through our gut, right? Our immune system is mainly housed there. It's where we interface with our environment. It's where we bring in our nutrients. Certainly taking a bunch of probiotics isn't going to fix everything, but without it, I stand by the fact that we will not be able to reclaim the fullness of our abundant energy that we're meant to have. So exhaustion, just to clarify, can feel like unable to do normal things. It can feel like fatigue, like bordering on depression. It can feel like tiredness or mental tiredness, like fogginess. And it can go along with some body or physical pain, right? So like fibromyalgia, rheumatoid arthritis, which is what I had, and things like that. Anything that kind of affects the brain in such a way that we're not able to complete normal tasks and feel tired. Is it working?
For some, yeah.
It's working for some.
One person.
Yeah. Okay. So if it's not working, sometimes just refreshing the screen can really help. So the cost of fatigue can be huge, right? It can be like for me, not being productive at work. So feeling like I'm not able to make money for my family, not being able to take care of the people in my life, relationships suffer. Like, people just don't understand when all you want to do is go to bed. You know, your friends come and visit at 7 p.m. and by 8 o'clock you're like asleep on the table. They think you don't want to hang out with them. It's just the way it is. Yeah, relationships suffer, families suffer, and then your health can continue to decline because there's a certain amount of energy that it takes to just basically take care of ourselves. So what could be happening? Again, it could be myriad things, right? We could have thyroid issues. We could have nutrient deficiencies, B vitamins, amino acids, magnesium, iron. All of these things relate to absorption or to autoimmunity, which, if you keep asking why, you end up back at the gut, right? Anytime there's any kind of immune system reaction, whether it's, seasonal allergies or histamine issues or brain issues, Alzheimer's, anything like this, we're going to experience fatigue. Our immune system will fatigue us when there's an imbalance. There could be something neurological going on, but you trace these things all back far enough, you end up at some point at the gut. I want to talk about some contributing organisms, right? So let's just break it down to some of the bacteria and fungi that can be causing fatigue directly. Okay, so not like, oh, they're preventing us from absorbing our amino acids, but like these things can cause fatigue directly. So let's just rule these out first, right? Yeasts and fungi. The yeasts that take hold in our body, like Candida, but also like many, many other organisms, are more like fungi. And they basically have these finger-like arms, arm-like, finger-like projections that grab onto our intestinal wall and they hold on. And they can cause physical damage there. They can cause
See if I can hear you now.
Can you hear me now? I can't. Can you hear me now? Okay, great. Okay. So maybe you can just stay here with that computer and do the slides. Okay. Yeah, so we've got so many computers. I can't believe we're having problems. Anyway, E. coli. There's the bad E. coli that's like in the media, and then there's the good E. coli. I'm talking about the good E. coli. When there's too many of them, particularly in the small intestine, they really get in the way of the environment in there. They can make it too acidic. They can prevent us from absorbing our nutrients. Yeah, and they can make it a really comfy home for other organisms that are even more, I want to say, harmful. Okay, so they can create an imbalance in the small intestine. You may have heard of SIBO, right? Small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and that's just E. coli are one of the top 3 bacteria that are involved in that, and that will make you tired. You know, they can contribute to histamine issues and other immune system things that can also fatigue us very much. Yeah, and these organisms produce byproducts that make us feel foggy. that fatigue our adrenals. You know, there's fatigue on so many levels, brain fatigue, and physical fatigue that can be caused directly by these organisms, okay? So I want to talk about helpful organisms. Bifidobacterium. You've probably heard me talk about how I love bifidobacterium so many times, but if you haven't, bifidobacterium are one of the sort of grandmothers of our digestive flora, especially in the large intestine. And they can, to some degree, prevent candida from taking hold, or other yeasts and fungi from taking hold in there. You know, they help us to regenerate our digestive lining. They help us to have a healthy mucosal layer. They help us to produce more enzymes. They interface with our immune system to help balance out Th1 and Th2 immunity. And all of these things help with fatigue. Bifidobacterium help us to sleep better. So bifidobacterium help us to sleep better. They actually signal the production of melatonin, and they help to balance out the estrogen and progesterone ratios in the body. So if we don't have enough progesterone, we might not be sleeping well. And bifidobacterium can help with that. So I don't have to tell you sleep is important if you're feeling tired. Great. Great. Okay, so I also want to talk about Saccharomyces boulardii, if you can see them there on your screen. It's they're like a helpful yeast that I was already on the right slide. They're helpful yeast that was discovered by someone called Boulardii. They're really popular right now because they've been shown to help prevent Clostridia overgrowth in hospitals. But really, one of the main things that they can do
is to prevent candida from taking hold. And these are great because they're actually yeast and not a fungi, so they don't have those like arm-like projections that we were talking about. They don't damage our gut lining, but they can kind of take the place of other yeasts in the body. So they can help to push out candida. All of these organisms, they want to be the ones that get to live there. So they get to push each other out. So it's a matter of choosing the ones that work with our bodies and having them feel comfortable and at home. And having them kick out the other guys for us. Does that make sense? All right. Let me know if that's making sense. Good, I can tell that you can hear me now. Yeah, I want to talk about immune system imbalances, but I want to just see if there are any questions about what we were just talking about fatigue and about those specific bacteria before we get deeper into anything here. Yeah, any questions about anything? I want to take a sip of tea and I want to see if you have any questions while we're right in this part of the talk. Good, everything good with you? Yay! Got any questions, Ricker?
Not yet.
There's like a 30-second delay on this. So I'll wait for a question and then we'll move on. One of the great places that I love to get bifidobacteria, if you feel like that's a good one to start with, which I'm going to tell you is almost always a good one to start with, is custom probiotics. I still really love them. They don't customize your probiotics, but they do sell individual strains like the Bifido on its own. Yeah, and they are more expensive. You'll find that the price of probiotics really varies. And probiotics from really good companies, they will be more expensive. They will be more abundant. There will be more probiotics per dose, to the tune of like 1 scoop of the custom probiotics has more than like a lot of whole bottles of probiotics that you can buy in the store. So yeah, and if you stick with me, I'm going to teach you how to stretch that out and make the most out of it. And yeah, get the most leverage when you do invest in a probiotic like that. Okay.
So Eugenia asked like about E. coli in UTI. Would it work for UTI or is it only digestive?
Okay, so I'll give you an E. coli tip. So yes, they can actually travel between our digestive system and our urinary tract, especially for women. Okay, a lot of it is like mechanical, like yeah, they just move, they get access and they move around. And so they are the #1 bacteria also involved in UTIs. So if you have this pattern, if you have like gas and bloating after eating, like SIBO symptoms, and you also have recurring UTIs, I would really take a look at E. coli. And yes, you can get tested for it. We can go deeper into that later. There's a product called Flora, which is, it's a phage. It's almost like a virus that attacks only E. coli, which is great because then the other bacteria just can take advantage of, they kind of eat the E. coli. Sorry, it's kind of gross. But the Flora phage is really, really great for that if you want something that's really low risk and really easy to do. But I'm hoping we can do more than that, through customizing your own foods in your own home. But yeah, E. coli, if you have that picture going on. That's a super good question. Yeah.
What about prescript assist?
Okay, good. We're going to talk more about soil-based organisms like in about 20 minutes. So I'm going to hold for that because, yeah, that's very relevant for that. Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Eugenia. Okay, so let's do this. Immune system imbalances. I was actually speaking at an event, and Dr. Tom O'Brien was speaking there too, and I had a really good listen to what he was saying. And basically, to summarize, he was saying that all of the things, or at least 90% of the things that we're dealing with right now, boil down to immune system imbalances. And I'm saying underneath that, there's digestive imbalance. So he's saying that immune system imbalances, type 2 diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, arthritis, all sorts of things, heart conditions. And he was saying that everything boils down to immune system imbalances. And I believe him. So many people with thyroid conditions, foggy brain, skin issues, alopecia, gluten sensitivity, almost everything. Again, when we keep asking why, we dig into our own health, we hit immune system. So what we'll notice would be fatigue, right? Food intolerances, bloating, inflammation anywhere in the body, possible autoimmunity, possible diagnosis of something, right? Possible like secondary autoimmune diagnosis, chemical sensitivities, again, body pain and exhaustion that's like unexplainable and not typical and gets in the way of you living your life. So the impact of that can actually be like physical damage to the gut. It can be the bacterial byproducts being absorbed, things that should not be absorbed into the body getting absorbed, damage to the mucosa in the gut, reduced digestive enzymes, which affects everything from our hormones, from our digestive hormones to our other hormones in our body to our brain. It's amazing. Reduced absorption, again, autoimmunity, inflammation throughout the body. So the impact of autoimmunity is like pretty huge. Let's talk about what's happening in these cases. So as we talked about before, about 80% of our immune system resides in our gut. And this is by design because our digestive system is where we take our environment, we chew it, and we swallow it, right? So then it's in our bodies. And rightfully, our immune system is there to protect us. Things that should not be eaten are going to be reacted to. And that's like, there's no point in getting mad at your body for reacting to potato chips because it's just like, hey, we're not supposed to be eating this. And that's just natural, right? And the bacteria in our digestive system also produce things that our immune system has to react to. They produce enzymes, messages that directly speak to our immune system and tell it which things to turn off and on. And they produce byproducts that can just be like an irritant to the body that the immune system has to deal with, right? Like histamines, for example, lipopolysaccharides, like are produced by some of the soil-based organisms. So those things are not meant to go through the gut. But if the gut integrity is not great, if the gut lining is not, it's only a single cell. And if the integrity is not really great, things will be getting through that aren't meant to get through. And things that should be getting through, they don't just go through. They actually need to be escorted. Like there's this whole process. And that can't happen when the gut lining is not healthy. Yeah. So that is leaky gut, okay? Right. Yeah, so I think most of this we sort of talked about, but it really does boil down to inflammation in the gut, either caused by like a physical irritant or like some chemical thing or an enzyme that's produced by bacteria or a yeast that should not go across the border, or non-foods that we're eating, right? To sum up. And it has systemic repercussions for us. Yeah, go ahead. So here are some specific gut imbalances that can lead to leaky gut. There's lots of things that can cause leaky gut. Eating a huge meal can cause leaky gut for a while, and then our bodies should be able to completely heal that within a few hours to a few days. If that's not happening, I suggest you take a look at this. So candida and other fungus-like organisms, so fungi, with those finger-like projections I was talking about, they can damage the gut. They can directly cause leaky gut. They like poke holes in it. E. coli, by changing the environment in there, by making it too acidic in the small intestine, which is not supposed to be an acidic environment, by making it too acidic, they damage the mucosa, which is supposed to protect our gut lining. And then from there, they damage the gut lining. Klebsiella, which is another very common organism in SIBO, if you've heard of that before. Yeah, so they can do the same thing as E. coli. They're just not as quick to do it, but they can be a little harder to get rid of. So yeah, those are some specific organisms in the small and large intestine that can cause issues. Let's talk about what can help. Bifidobacterium, again, right? Because they can help to reduce the candida. They can help to create the right environment in the gut by grandmothering all of the organisms that are going to produce something called short-chain fatty acids. Those short-chain fatty acids are required for our overall health, and they're required for our mucous membranes, for our gut lining, to keep that healthy. So without enough bifidobacteria, we're not going to have enough organisms producing short-chain fatty acids, which we need to heal the gut. Again, we need bifidobacteria to grandmother a colony of organisms that produce short-chain fatty acids, which heal the gut. We need to feed them lots of fiber, right? So this is just like side tip. They need to eat lots of fiber if they're going to be abundant. A lot of people taking heaps of bifido supplements and they're like, why isn't this working? And they're on like a keto diet, which I think is great short term, but long term, if you want to feed these bacteria, that's not gonna work. So you need to find a way to bring those bacteria up and transition to a more diverse diet when your digestive system is more able to handle it, if that makes sense. Another helpful organism is bacillus. Now, you can find some of these in the prescriptive cyst, in megaspore. This is like Bacillus sporogenus, any kind of bacillus that you can find in a natto, or anything that you can find in megaspore. These can actually really help to regenerate the digestive lining in the small intestine, but they also produce these lipopolysaccharides, which are not meant to go through the gut. So it just depends on how your body is reacting to them. So if you want to try that out. Lactobacillus plantarum. I love these bacteria. They're in like sauerkraut and kimchi, and they're naturally on a lot of our green vegetables outside. So when we ferment those, the plantarum is very abundant, and many different strains depending on where you live and what you're growing. They directly communicate with our immune system. Organisms like fungi and cancers, they can modulate our immune system to not fight them so well. It's like, oh, just leave us alone, we're fine here. The Lactobacillus plantarum can directly talk to the immune system and go, hey, guys, we've got a problem here. And then our immune system can actually fight this. So there's some debate. People are like, oh, if you have autoimmunity, you don't want to take plantarum. And I'm saying you have autoimmunity because something is in the way. Something is out of balance. And Lactobacillus plantarum can help us to find what's in the way, as long as we keep investigating and to regain that balance. And without it, yeah, we may experience less symptoms because our body's not doing anything about the problem that it faces, if that makes sense. If you have any questions about that, hold and we will answer them in a bit. Lactobacillus reuteri and Lactobacillus rhamnosus can really help us to reclaim the small intestine environment, which I was talking about with the E. coli and the Klebsiella. Okay, so we want to reclaim that small intestine environment and the reuteri and rhamnosus can help us with that. They just, it's like prevention, but it's also just like the gentle, just a very gentle way to push those bacteria out. So if gentle works for you, they're really good choices. Let's just have a quick, are there any questions about this area that we just talked about?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Michelle asked, what is good for autoimmunity?
Okay, well, so we're sort of there. So we're talking about the plantarum. The bifidum is the safest. It's the safest because it's, again, the most gentle. It's going to just kind of change the environment in there to reduce the impact on the immune system. But the bacteria like the Lactobacillus plantarum can really help us to directly speak to our immune system. And, because if we're having autoimmunity because let's say there's like a thyroid condition, which is being contributed to by H. pylori and candida in the gut. Okay, and there's leaky gut, and there's just things, lipopolysaccharides, maybe something that's triggering the thyroid. Could be many things, right? And then these organisms are at the same time telling our immune system, no, you just need to do this kind of immunity, which can damage the thyroid, but doesn't do anything about the yeasts or the H. pylori, right? And then the plantarum can come in and talk to our immune system and be like, okay, we want to do a little less of that. And we want to do a little more. So a little less of like the histamines, a little bit less of like the antibodies, and a little more of like direct attack against some of these organisms. And that's the balance that I'm talking about. And that's the TH1, TH2 balance that I'm discussing here. So I hope that helps. Yeah, but bifidum is the safest. It's always the safest and a really good foundation. So if you take anything from this talk, then that would be the first thing to do. Anything else, Rooker?
Not yet.
Okay. Let's talk about weight fluctuations. I'm calling it weight fluctuations instead of weight gain. Because there's just a lot of stuff in the media that I disagree with about what we're supposed to look like. That being said, I think we all know like what our ideal set point is for how we feel. There's like a way that our body is that makes us feel right. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you either lose a lot of weight or gain some weight or things just don't correspond with what you're doing. So you're keeping everything kind of the same in your diet and lifestyle, and then weird things are happening to your body that you can't explain. That's what I'm talking about here. Wouldn't we all like to look and feel like the way that we believe our healthy normal is? Okay, so what we might notice is our body's changing shape and size, which really indicates like hormone fluctuations, nutrient imbalances, things that are abnormal. Maybe monthly weight fluctuations that like never go back to normal, appetite loss or gain, puffiness, like just holding on to water, these kind of things. So the impact of this, it's just better for our joints and better for our energy when we're at our healthy normal, right? When our hormones are at their healthy normal, when our body size is our healthy normal. Like we all have a different frame. Different things are right for all of us. Of course, increased risk for different types of cancer, colon cancer, type 2 diabetes, increased risk for needing new pants, and just not feeling like yourself, right? Yeah, a lot of people struggle to gain weight, right? So it can go both ways, right? It's just when we're not able to see our actions reflected in the way that our body is shaped. So some contributing organisms to this, again, and I'm really hitting the candida hard here. It's really easy to make these slides, copy paste. But the thing is, candida and other fungi, I really don't mean just candida, I mean any fungi that reside in our large intestine, they prefer us to have more estrogen. They prefer a thicker mucus. They prefer a nice cushy place to live, and they will adjust our hormones. They will adjust our hormones to suit them better. They will reduce our progesterone level. They will increase our estrogen, and we end up with like a thicker mucosa. They're happy. Our energy starts to fall, and our weight starts to rise, right? And that's just what they like to do because they're happier in that situation. E. coli, they were the first bacteria actually shown to contribute to type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance and weight gain, obesity in rats. I think it was like in the 80s. It was like one of the first, sort of studies that it was really groundbreaking at the time. And the Firmicutes phylum, they're quite vilified. If you are Googling, bacteria and weight gain, you're going to see stuff about Firmicutes. I just want to say that is pretty much all the bacteria we can buy in probiotics are in the Firmicutes phylum. It's just one of the issues are that when we're eating too much of a standard American diet, let's say, a Canadian diet, European diet, we end up feeding too much these bacteria and not enough the other bacteria that we actually can't buy in capsules. And those guys, they really need like a high nutrient, high fiber, diverse vegetable program. And so the Firmicutes bacteria are able to contribute to type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance and weight gain because hormonally that really serves them. That creates an environment that's great for them, not great for us. Yeah. Bifidobacterium. If we have enough bifidobacterium and we're feeding them and all their followers enough fiber, they are going to really reduce the Firmicutes bacteria, the Firmicutes organisms in our gut. And really we can buy bifidum, but we can't buy any of their like friends and colony. We need to just get those from the foods that we're eating, not even just fermented foods, just real whole foods. And we need to feed them. And that's the only way to make them grow. The bacteria in our gut are going to adjust to consume what we feed them. So diversity of lactobacillus can be really helpful in weight issues that are related to small intestine imbalance. The more diverse our lactobacillus are, the more that they're going to help us to prevent things like SIBO and malabsorption of nutrients, things like that. It's a prevention thing. And then these are some specific strains that have been shown to actually help people lose weight. So if you're trying to lose weight, don't do this. Lactobacillus fermentum, Lactobacillus gasseri, and Lactobacillus rhamnosus. Those have been shown to increase weight loss in some pretty good studies by 50 to 80% more than the participants that were not taking these bacteria at the time. The lactobacillus that we take, they're transient, right? So you might take one with the gasseri and then it's not like you take it and then you're good for life. It's like you need to incorporate it into your routine, into your lifestyle, into your day-to-day kitchen stuff, because they'll stick around for a couple weeks and then they'll be replaced by something. Okay, they're transient and they're meant to be that way. It's a flow thing in our gut. Okay, what to do? I think I would like to just take any questions about this weight gain, weight loss section. If you have any there, Rooker. Yeah, Tia is saying I have a few folks that need to gain weight. Exactly.
Is there a particular stool test you recommend?
Yeah, so this depends on which bacteria you want to test for. So there are some great stool tests, and they're all like really great at certain things. Some of them are kind of good all-around test, but it depends on what your symptoms are. And so this is why I like to recommend different tests to different people, right? Because some of them are better at finding other organisms. So can you give me more information, just about a hypothetical person who hypothetically might want to take a stool test, and then I can tell you, which company would be best. Okay, can you go back to the? Can you go back to the slide that shows the names of the bacteria that can help with weight loss? Yeah, because sometimes I say the words really fast, but if you want to write them down, you need to look at the word. I understand that. Yeah, what about Raynaud's syndrome? Oh, that's so funny. This comes up a lot. It does. It comes up a lot. And it is connected to a lot of things, to glucose metabolism in the body, It's connected to our immune system. So I always like to start with the gut, with Raynaud's. I like to start with the gut. I like to make sure that we're getting all of the nutrients that we need to have proper contraction and expansion of our small blood vessels. And I need to work on balancing the way that we handle glucose, the way that we metabolize sugars, and we metabolize the foods that we eat. I like to bring up the bifidobacteria, and work on being able to digest more diverse fibrous foods, because that will help. Yeah, so let's start with that. It's really interesting, weight gain. So let's talk about that again at the end of the call. Okay.
There's also, what about a keto diet?
Yeah, so keto diet, again, has great benefits. Great benefits short term, and I mean like a few months, right? Like a few weeks, short term, for our body, and help us to reset a lot of our hormones, help us with our brain health, really with a great focus on getting enough healthy fats and not eating white powdered food, right? Like, let's get real about it. And it doesn't benefit this colony of bacteria that help us long term to be able to metabolize the sugars in our foods. So we're avoiding those things, and so we have great benefits, but then long term, we're not able to add them back in because we haven't done anything to help our body. So the problem is with the biology, not with the food. So again, I think it's really great short-term, few weeks, few months, to help with brain and hormone health. But I think we also need to deal with the root cause of the problem. Yeah, if that makes sense. And which is getting proper nutrition and making sure that we have the ability to metabolize glucose from just regular foods, from fruits and vegetables, so that they're not damaging our body and having a deleterious effect on our brain and our hormones, which we then need to repair by going on a diet like that. Does that make sense? I don't mean to take such a hard stance on that. If we had an hour, I could be more wishy-washy, but I think it's great. But people get stuck on this diet long-term, and they're not getting everything that their body and that their gut bacteria need. And it can lead to other imbalances, years down the road. Yeah.
Do you recommend intermittent fasting on a regular basis, like 14, 18 hours?
Yeah, I think that can really help a lot of people. Yeah, I think it really can. I think we eat a lot of food. We don't need to eat so much food. We focus on quality, and we have some times where we're not eating. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, so vilified. It's like on Oprah, we're not supposed to feel hungry. Let's take some Garcinia cambogia. Okay, no, this ghrelin can help us increase growth hormone in the brain, in our body. It can help us to build up our digestive mucosa. It can help us to heal our digestive lining. These things are happening every time we're hungry. We're so afraid of being hungry. We're not used to actually feeling hungry. Quite often, we never even kind of get this hormone happening. We never let ourselves get hungry, because we're just on this schedule of eating. And of course, there are things to watch out for, blood sugar issues and things. But yeah, I think it's okay to be hungry sometimes. I hope that answers your question. I do fast myself. And I find it to be extremely beneficial. Different lengths for different goals, right? Okay, so I'm going to take any other questions like at the end of this. I want to get on to our next section here. I want to talk about like what to do. So like, how does this even work? What do you actually do with this information right now? I'm preaching to the choir. I get this, but we need to talk about this. Everything responds to good nutrition, right? Let's start with that. And once we've got that, let's maximize our absorption and utilization of nutrients by having as healthy of a digestive system as possible, right? Let's reduce harm, again, by not eating crap, by not staying up until 4 a.m. Yeah, let's give our bodies time to catch up. So anytime we make a change, it can take 3 months for us to feel the effect, 6 months to feel the effect of the change. We quite often, change something in our diets, and if we don't feel different in a couple days, then we think, oh, it's not working. So be kind to your body. It has to deal with like a backup of, detoxification and many other things from a whole lifetime. And it's really important to just give things enough time. If you've got treasure buried 7 feet deep, don't dig 6 feet deep and give up. Go all the way. Give your body a chance. Which is why I really advocate making changes that are slow and lasting. So, for instance, the lactobacillus gasseri, if you wanted to work that into your lifestyle, making a yogurt and then getting used to eating the yogurt, preparing different things with the yogurt, like doing it for 6 months and then seeing how your body feels. So that's really thinking holistically and realistically. Let's talk about some foods. Speaking of that, right? So these are just like changes that we can make in our kitchen that can impact everything that we've been talking about today. So natto, a really good source of those bacillus bacteria that can help with our small intestine lining. We've got kimchi in the picture here, really good source of the lactobacillus plantarum. So if you're going to buy it from a store, just get, a live one, get something as local as possible. Yogurt. You can make this at home. You can make it non-dairy. You can make it out of whatever you want. Trust me, I've made yogurt out of everything. If you can't have nuts, that's fine. If you can't have sugar, that's fine. Like there will be a way that you can do this in your kitchen, which is why I love customizing things for you and for each other. Jasper's here. Can we do this now? Jasper's here. We're going to make a yogurt. It'll be fun.
Hello.
All right. So we're going to just move. Can we move our camera over a bit? A bit more. Okay, so Jasper is the star of this part of the show. Okay. Do you want to talk or?
Say what you've done.
So I just peeled a bunch of baked yams. There are some cashews in here and a bit of
Almond milk.
Almond milk. You can use soy milk or like
Any kind of nut milk,
yeah.
seed milk. Yeah.
And
I'm going to add a bit of water for you, okay? So we have yams that have been baked. We have cashews, which I wanted to use up. We have almond milk, and we have a little bit of water, right? Because I didn't have enough almond milk. So Jasper's gonna blend this up for us.
so I just press.
The first light next to the red one.
Is there this one?
Yeah, sure. Just shake it around. Yep. All right. I think we need more water.
I feel like it's gonna blow
See
up.
how we're not using a recipe here? So the goal is for us to come out with something that ends up a little bit like pudding, the texture of a yogurt that we might want to eat. Just leave it. So if you make go too fast, then it doesn't get the vortex going.
My arm. My arm.
So we're gonna add, can I show them? We're gonna add something called GI Pro Start. This is a yogurt starter. There we go. It's just my favorite one. It tastes the most like yogurt. If you have SIBO or something like that, you might not want to use this right away. You might want to choose another bacteria like bifidobacteria and just start with that. Yeah, can you grab me a Custom Pro? They're in the door.
So we're gonna dump this into
No. Wait.
Smells interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so we're gonna add this 5-strain. And we're also gonna add the Paracasia. Let's put that like that. Okay, so we have 1/4 teaspoon here. I'm gonna add 1/4 teaspoon of each of these.
That's heating.
It's a bit heaping, sorry.
Still heating.
Got too much stuff in the blend. All right, I hope this is helpful. I want you to feel like this is not hard. Feels like not much in this left.
Last bit.
Okay. So if you do invest in those probiotics, I can show you how to make like 60 liters of yogurt from a single scoop of it. That's just too much for us to do right now. I'm gonna turn it on. Okay. I'll do it myself. Okay, so. There you go. So go ahead, Jasper. Tell us what we're going to do.
We're going to dump this into. Whoa, it's creamy.
Looks great.
Into this bowl, and as you can see, it's pretty creamy, except for those little chunks. Kind of looks like pumpkin.
Puree.
Yeah, pumpkin. Oh, whoops. It's okay, right?
So you can see that. We're having a bit of kitchen construction. We're not supposed to get anything on the counter. So, yeah. Anyway, so we're going to put this in the bowl, and then we're going to put it in an environment that's about body temperature, and we're going to cover it up. Okay, so we're going to cover it up with whatever kind of, I have these silicone kind of lids that go on bowls. You want to not use metal unless it's very high quality stainless steel. Okay, so using glass, or it's not my favorite to use plastic. Some kind of ceramic would be okay, but just not anything that's got any aluminum or anything in it. And these things can prevent the bacteria from growing. What I like about using these yams is that I'm not going to add a sweetener. So there's enough sugar in here to feed the bacteria, just in the yams. Okay, so we're using all real food, which I love. And we're also going to make the yams a little bit easier for us to metabolize if we have issues with like the amount of sugar that would be in there. Yams are such a great source of, vitamin A and so many other things. And that, it's sad when we can't eat them because of blood sugar issues. So if that's an issue for you, this is a great way to be able to eat more yams because we're going to ferment some of those sugars out, okay? And meanwhile, we're going to increase those bacteria like the bifidobacteria that can help us with our blood sugar issues. So it's like super win-win-win situation here. I'm going to give you a close-up on this. Can I do that?
Can I get it?
Just kind of heavy.
So the questions are, do you soak the nuts, and what are about the measurements that you've used?
Right. So if you want to just make it with nuts, yep, you can soak the nuts and then rinse them off and then use a 1-to-1 measurement. So 2 cups nuts, 2 cups fresh water, and then add your probiotic. You might have to add a little bit of yacon syrup or something like that to add a bit of a sweetener, depending on which nut you use. With this, the goal is to make something that is the texture of yogurt, because some of the mistakes that people make involve like consistency. They start with like milk, like an almond milk. They put the bacteria in and it doesn't get thick and turn into yogurt. And then they send me emails going like, why did this not make yogurt? And the issue is these bacteria are not going to thicken a yogurt the same way that they would thicken a dairy yogurt, okay? The proteins are different. It just doesn't happen. So you start with something, the texture that you want, and then it's going to finish that texture, okay? Especially after it's popped back into the refrigerator. Yeah, but yeah, you don't have to use nuts. You can use whatever you want. You can use straight spinach if you want to, and then make some awesome dips out of it. Yeah, so you can do this completely without nuts. You can do this with just yams. I like it with a little bit of like, if you're gonna do just yams, like just like a little bit of coconut oil or like something fat added to it, just to give it a little bit of a different mouthfeel, texture-wise. But you don't have to do that. This is just me being picky and chefy. So yeah.
But like you probably can't do it with like a fruit that's kind of like maybe an orange or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. I wouldn't recommend doing this with fruits or berries alone, because what's going to happen is they're going to have natural yeasts on them that are going to probably take over the ferment. So you're going to end up with like kind of a bubbly, alcoholic, interesting creation. So we're going to put this in our oven with the light on. So the oven's not on, but the light's on. Oh. I just leave it open for a bit because it's too hot.
Michelle was asking about covering it. Do you need to cover it?
Yeah, you should cover it. You should cover it. It is like an oxygenated ferment. It's one of those ferments that uses oxygen. It doesn't need to be exposed to the air. So covering it with any kind of a lid, or it doesn't have to be perfectly sealed, but it can also be sealed. It can be a container with a sealed lid. That'll work fine. It doesn't produce carbon dioxide like this, and it's not going to explode off your lid like other ferments. You know, even if you have to use saran wrap that's not going to touch your food, that's okay too. Or you can use a plate like what I just did. If you leave it exposed to air, what can happen is, you know, the wild yeasts in the environment or other bacteria can get into it. And I'm trying to make this as controlled of a ferment as possible. So if we can control the bacteria that are in there, we can be as loosey-goosey as we want with the ingredients and, you know, different parts of the process, and we can do more experimentation, but we need to know which bacteria we are fermenting. Okay, so we're controlling the breakdown of foods here, and it's just the safest way to do it is to know what you've got going in there and to control it as much as possible. And then within that, we have all this freedom of fermenting all these different foods. We can, you know, anything, like I said, spinach, you can do just yams, you can do, you know, just carrots. Yeah, there's nuance to it. Like I've worked on all these different things, so I know what works and what doesn't work and what you want to tweak a little bit. Yeah.
There's a question about oil, like how much oil would you use if you use avocados?
Yeah, you can use avocado. I would use like half an avocado per liter, or a couple tablespoons of oil if you're okay, you know, using an oil. I wouldn't use flax oil or hemp oil because it just those sensitive oils get degraded with heat, and it is going to be fairly warm body temperature for a good 8 to 12 hours. Okay.
So which bacteria did you use was a question.
Yeah, so I use this thing called GI Pro Start. It tastes really good. I've tried a lot of yogurt starters. It's definitely gluten-free, which is a big deal for some people like me. I used this 5-strain bifido that we can get from Custom Probiotics. Again, you might get some sticker shock when you look at it, but it is the highest quality bifido that I know of that you can buy. Just look at how many billion are in the scoop and do some math. You'll see. And then I used the Paracasei, which I just really like the taste of. So, and it was also just Rooker pulled that out of the fridge. So But as you can see, if you wanted to increase your Lactobacillus plantarum, you could get the plantarum and, you know, add a scoop of that. And it's really exciting. Yeah. All right. So yeah, can you show the next slide?
Yes.
Yes, add in fruits. If you're going to add in fruits, add in fresh fruits after and eat the yogurt, right? Because in order to ferment with the fruits, you'd have to just cook them so much that it would be really sad.
Does the casein? I have casein.
No. Nothing I ever make has casein ever. And it's great to make sure if you're getting a powdered probiotic that it does not have traces of dairy in it. Yeah, good call. So it's important to think holistically and to consider your whole body when you're doing this. So that's why I love being able to do this with so many different foods, right? Like you can make a lentil gurt. You can just, you know, do whatever you need to do. You can make fermented something with algae in it so that you get all of those healthy amino acids for gut health. And then you don't have to eat it as a yogurt. You can eat it as a dip. So think about what's going to be best for your body overall instead of trying to fit yourself into something that I've presented or, you know, that someone else has presented for you. And make sure that you choose the right probiotics for you. Consider yourself. Consider your individuality. Really, we're all very similar, but our situations are very different. Our circumstances are very different. So you're going to need the right thing for your body right now, which might be different from the right thing for my body right now, even though overall what we all need is kind of similar. You know, so it's okay to get kind of on the right track, but then in the end, you're going to need to choose what is appropriate for you at this moment. So don't let anybody else tell you exactly what to do, I guess. So you want to take it step by step. You want to have a plan, right? Because if we don't have a plan, it's a lot easier to abandon the things that we think are really good for us. We might one day think it's really good to go grain-free. And then if it's not part of a whole plan that takes into consideration your biochemistry and all these different things about your body, that we are multifactorial beings. There's not just one solution or one problem. So we need a whole plan. And it has to be taken step by step so that we feel like we're on track and we don't abandon ourselves in the middle of the health that we've invested in. So I want to talk about sort of step one that you can do, which is bifidobacteria. Yeah, so it's building a healthy foundation. And like I said, the bifidobacteria are the grandmother of the bacteria in our large intestine. And all of the other bacteria that they support, you can't buy them in a store. But these are the bacteria that are going to reduce the firmicutes, which, you know, the ones that contribute to our obesity. They're going to help to heal the lining of the small and large intestine. They're going to help us to balance our hormones. And again, we can't buy them in the store. The only way we can get them there is by feeding them and having enough bifido to take care of them once they're there. Okay, it's really important. This bifido, how it helps us with our sleep, how it helps us to balance our hormones, and how it gently starts to nudge the immune system and gently starts to get rid of candida in a very, I want to say gentle way that's not going to overwhelm our system. I find this to be the safest thing to start with. Bifidobacteria live in the large intestine. They will very, 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 very rarely take up home in the small intestine, even in cases with the SIBO or a wrong small intestine environment, in gastric bypass surgery. They tend to still go to the large intestine. So again, they're safer in that way also. And they can help us with our detox pathways and the things that we need when we start adding in lots of diversity of nutrition and bacteria later. Step one, bifido. Get yourself some bifido. Make some foods that you can eat on a regular basis. You know, do this for months. Get this really going for yourself. Particularly if you're into genetics and if you have a FUT2 variation. Some people need more than others, right? Again, it's all about our individuality. Step two would be to rebalance the small intestine. So our small intestine is where the majority of our nutrients are absorbed. Almost all of our nutrients are absorbed in different places in the small intestine. And it is supposed to be an alkaline environment with a nice acid layer along the skin, just like our outer skin has an acid mantle. And diversity is really key here. These bacteria in the small intestine should be transient. They should be moving on. They shouldn't be latching on in any way. There shouldn't be yeasts in there. And they should just be a small number of bacteria compared to the space in there. So the diversity of bacteria in there is really important. And making sure that there aren't those kind of, I want to say pathogens, but they're not. You know, they're still good bacteria, but they get out of balance, like the E. coli and the Klebsiella, like we were talking about. We want to deal with the upper GI, you know, if there's any H. pylori issues or any stomach issues. This is all part of this step. Because if these things are not working well, we're not going to be able to digest and absorb our food. And I stand by this. If we're not able to digest and absorb our food properly, we will not reclaim our full health. We will not reclaim our full energy. Imagine if we're just eating all this organic food and everything, you know, is everything is great except for our small intestine is out of balance. We're not going to be able to absorb the nutrients that we're eating. We're going to have immune system imbalances, and these things are going to just continue on unless we deal with them. All right. So let's talk about the next step after the small intestine and stomach, the upper GI. Then it's much safer time to discourage yeasts. What can happen is Candida is super, you know, it's in the media, it's on Google. Everybody has some, everybody goes on a detox. And then we all get symptoms, right? Like detox symptoms, and the body's not able to get rid of the Candida properly or the yeasts, fungi properly. With this bifidobacterium in place, with the small intestine healthy, with less burden on our liver and our detox pathways, we're going to be able to much better handle yeasts. This is a much more leveraged time to deal with yeasts after we've dealt with these other things. Okay, so that can take a different amount of time for different people, right? We're all in a different situation with that. So having some way to assess yourself or to know what's going on, maybe do some testing, or, you know, do this with somebody, so that, you know, because I met someone who was on a Candida diet for 20 years. I do not recommend this. I recommend doing something that's actually going to work and having it more short term, okay? Let's build diversity. So that'll be step 4. Okay, so then after we get through and we're creating the right environment in there, then we get to have the fun of like making wild ferments and like eating a diverse amount of vegetables that are locally grown, or you know, going on trips and eating different food. Like we get to have a more robust digestive system, and we get to build up our bacterial diversity to help to support that. Yeah, and then step 5, I have to put this in. If there's still something going on, immune system, fatigue, digestive system wise, after taking these steps, then there is something very specific that needs to be addressed. And I recommend getting really good testing. And this is a really good, you know, everything in health at the end of the day is process of elimination, even if you're going to the doctor's office. So if you've done all of this and there's still something going on, it really reduces the number of things that it could be. And we know which tests you should get, right? So assessing these underlying issues at that point is very, very helpful, right? Because you've done a great job of building a foundation at that point. This goes beyond just saying like, oh, I need to work on my digestion and getting some glutamine and bone broth, right? This is all Band-Aid stuff. We're talking about rebuilding your digestion so that it supports you and being able to add more diversity of foods. So we're not just cutting things out and avoiding things and getting less and less, but so that we're able to focus on abundance and get more and more and rebuild ourselves. You know, how many of you have ever taken antibiotics ever, right? Like all of us. How many of you have ever had a digestive symptom? All of us, right? These are really easy questions. We all have something going on in there, even if it's not our primary concern. Keep asking why, we will get back to digestion. And I don't want you taking Band-Aids, because that's not a long-term solution. I want you changing your life. That's why I'm doing this right now. Okay, so you can do this on your own. And I love to empower people to do things on their own. You can do this on your own. I've given you information here that you can take and you can run with that. And I always like to do that. You can do this with me. You can flip sides. If you can answer questions while I do this, that'd be great. You can do this with me. So this summer, I'm going to be hosting some awesome private retreats. Basically, I'm going to customize all the food for you. We're going to have a chef. They're going to cook for us for the weekend. We're going to have someone do a customized private yoga session for you. We're going to go whale watching. We're going to go on some short hikes. We're going to go to the beach. We're going to have an amazing time on this island here. And it's going to be just customized probiotic food for you all weekend. And you're going to leave with all the recipes. We're going to analyze your labs, like your blood test, your stool test, your nutrient test. You know, that's all part of this. It's an I do it for you. I like doing it for you. The investment for a private retreat with me is $29.97. I think it's a damn good deal. And I plan to do a lot of these summer. I live in a beautiful place, and I can't wait to share, you know, this new kitchen and really have like custom catered food. It's going to be so luxurious and beautiful. It's just a really beautiful and healing environment to be in. But because that's not right for everybody, I also created something called the Friendly Flora Solution. If you're interested in a private retreat, there's going to be more information about that in a couple weeks, but you can also email careandsupport@stephjackson.com, and we'll start a dialogue instead of a call. So the Friendly Flora Solution. There are 5 workshops where we work through these steps, right? We work on all the different things we can make with Bifido. We work on kitchen staples. I'm talking about like things you can always have in your kitchen. Wraps, dried things, kitchen things, liquid things, juices, different milks. Can't see my quotation marks, but yogurts out of, you know, you name it, anything, making them into parfaits. Making things that you could just eat all the time and start to build up your diversity, build up that Bifido, rebalance your small intestine. Yeah, all through real foods. And the cool thing about the Friendly Flora program is that it's designed for you to be able to customize the food, because we all have different foods that we're avoiding, right? So you're going to be able to make your own yogurt with your own things that you need to eat right now, which is so exciting. So we got 30 recipe videos. We have 5 workshops, which you can watch in their entirety, or you can like watch recipe by recipe, which we're still working on breaking that down, but the workshops are all up there now. We got 4 Q&A sessions. This is a self-paced program. Like I said, we all need a different amount of Bifido. So it might take you a few weeks to get that started. And so no matter where you are at in the program, you're going to come to Q&A and you're going to ask questions. And I found that they're very helpful for everybody. Last time I did this, I made Q&A videos, which we're still uploading. But I find that coming live to a session is very helpful too. So you're going to have both of those things. We've also got a Facebook group. People post the photos. Okay, yeah. We've also got a Facebook group. People post the photos of the things that they've made, and we can network with each other. You can go to the kickoff call. We've got a kickoff call, which is just to get you started, so you can actually see in my kitchen what I do. See the things that are here. We can have kind of a show and tell, and I can tell you kind of what you need to buy to get started right away. You can ask your questions like, you know, should I get this starter or that starter? Or I have SIBO, should I do this or that? And we can get a little more personal about how to get started with the program. We've got guides and materials. So we've got recipe guides, and we also have information on all the bacteria. So I have a whole thing about the soil-based organisms, like the bacillus that you can get in Megaspore. I have a whole thing about Lactobacillus plantarum, a whole thing about bifidobacteria, because these are the bacteria that we're working with, and so I want you to know more about them. Yeah, so again, I can do the do for you, or you can do the Friendly Flora. So the, yeah, oh yeah, right. So I've added this. I added this just before. We have an assessment and investigation call. So at the end of the program, when you finish all the modules, you're going to come to a call, And we're going to talk about, you know, how you're feeling now, what's still going on, what will be the next things to look for, right? Because we've seen enough people go through this process that it really does reduce its process of elimination again, right? Which test would be the most helpful at this point? Is it good to get a nutrient test? Is it good to get a stool test? And to really customize that next step-by-step plan for you so that we're not just like leaving you high and dry at the end of the program. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, Facebook group, guides and materials. Yeah, so the tuition for Friendly Flora is $97 3 times. The program goes for 6 months. You know, you have lifetime access to the program. I recommend taking 6 months so you have a whole month to start working on your bifidobacteria and really engage yogurt in your daily lifestyle or whatever is the new food that you're adding. I'm not for quick things that then get forgotten. I'm for lasting relationships, lasting things, lasting foods in your kitchen that you're going to be able to just keep using and using and using. So sure, you can do this program in 3 weeks if you want to. I'd rather you do it in 6 months. Take advantage of all these calls. Yeah. So 3 payments of $97. I also have a program called A Cultured Christmas. And someone told me recently that there are holidays throughout the year and birthdays, and that we really need to have more festive culture food that we can share with our family and friends throughout the year. A Cultured Christmas, there are so many fun recipes in there. There's like beautiful parfaits. And yes, I'm wearing a funny Christmas hat. We make a matcha cheesecake, a sugar plum fairy cheesecake, and some wonderful dips to share with your family and friends. And they're all super delicious. Stuffed mushrooms with a probiotic stuffing. Yeah, so I'm going to share that with you also when you sign up for Friendly Flora. So if I kind of oversold the private retreat and you want to have some one-on-one time with me, I do have this Friendly Flora VIP option. So if you want to do Friendly Flora, but you want a little bit more personalized help from me, I'll design 5 recipes for you. We'll get together. We'll have a 5-hour VIP day, either in my home or via Skype or Zoom, whatever works best for you. And I will also throw in a lab assessment. So a blood test, like a lab assessment for you. You'll get the test and then I'll assess it. And a stool test assessment so that we can like really hone in on exactly what is right for you to add to your ferments at this time. Yeah, so again, I love customizing things for people. So the investment for the VIP option is $9.97. Also includes some extra things like an extra call with me at the end, just so we can reassess the recipes and adjust anything that needs adjusting to make it really work for you. Yeah, so the dates are that this, I put Christmas, A Cultured Christmas is in July. The kickoff call is on March 29th at the end of this month. So yeah, we're gonna get started right away. We're going to get started right away. The modules are up there, ready for you to access. Yeah, and I can't wait to do this with you. I can't wait for you to join the community and the group, and it's a really active community, and to get on the calls and just to get to know you better. Most of you on this call, I actually haven't met before, and I can't wait to meet you more. Right, so stay for a bit. Let's talk questions. You want to go to stephjackson.com/Flora to sign up for the program. Yeah.
So Marcia was asking about the yams. If the yams alone raise glucose, and would fermenting reduce the glucose so she could eat it?
Exactly. Booyah. And that's, I think you just answered your own question. That's the deal with this, right? So a lot of people can't have yams because there's too much like sugar, natural sugar in there for them. So fermenting them, the bacteria eat the sugar, but all the nutrients in the yams are still there. In fact, the bacteria are going to eat the oxalates too. Okay, but all the nutrients in the yams are still there, so we can still eat it. And I recommend, like, if glucose metabolism is an issue, that you start with a small amount when you're eating it, but also make sure when you're fermenting it, you get it good and sour. The more sour it is, like the less sweet it tastes, the less sugars there's going to be left over in there. You can get a pH tester if you want to, and this is something that we work a little bit closer with in the program. But yeah, that's the start, right? So same thing if you want to use sweet potatoes or carrots, right? They can spike people's blood sugar, and this is a way that you can make them, that you can eat them. Sweet.
And then says kimchi looks Christmassy.
Everything looks Christmassy to me. I really had a phase where Christmas was like the best thing ever to me. And there's so many fantastic red and green foods. Like the possibilities are endless. So trying to hone them down for that program is hilarious.
Lynn was also asking, are there specific dates for the retreat? Or they can just be planned with you?
The retreat is just planned with me. Because if you're going to come out here, like we're going to do that according to your schedule. And it's better to come here in the summer. Honestly, it's a wonderful place to be then. But if we're going to do it on Zoom, we can do it sooner. So it's just, whatever works for you. For me personally, I want to do things that are more meaningful. And if we can spend 5 hours or 3 days doing something that is going to really actually change or allow you to change a significant part of your life, that's what I want to be doing. Like if we can customize, like if you're having like limited foods that you can eat and you can leave with like a feeling of like, wow, I can really eat a lot of stuff. Wow, I can make like this kind of yogurt and this kind of dip and like, and it's like a feeling of abundance and instead of a feeling of like our food and our digestion and like the walls of health closing in on us and just break that open. Like that's what I want to be doing with you. Hope that makes sense. So is there a better time of day to take probiotics? Okay, so how I'm going to answer that is my favorite way to take probiotics is in liquid. So if you're having a capsule, best thing ever is to break it open and put it in liquid. And the reason is surface area. So you've probably seen pictures of our small intestine where there's like all these little, finger-like, it's just, there's so much skin in there and that's amazing. And we're so amazing human beings. And sometimes when we take a capsule, it doesn't even open up in our small intestine. Okay, like I've worked with a lot of people with colostomy bags who have, had surgery, colon cancer. I watch them take probiotics. I watch the probiotics come right out, right? So you can buy some fancy probiotics with some really fancy like coatings, and that might not be doing anything for you. Put it in water, good amount of water. Take it away from food. And that way your body is going to know it's not food. So it's not going to hold it in your stomach. It's going to go straight through into your small intestine and get all that surface area coverage. And I'm really going for changing the environment in there, not just getting some nice bacteria in there. I hope that helps. People have a lot of different suggestions with that. If you take them with food, it'll help you digest the food. I'm more in chemistry, changing your small intestine environment. I prefer to do this liquid thing, first thing in the morning or after dinner, a couple hours after dinner, at least 3 hours would be even better. So that you can just have that overnight in your body and they can grow and work for you while you're sleeping. Yeah. Cool. This is a really good quality of questions. I feel like I've had a bit of motor mouth. I hope that we have a recording and that you can go back and, a little fast forward, rewind for yourself. Yeah, okay.
I'm just trying to go back.
Yeah, give me more questions. This is fun.
Like, do you have to use starter?
No, you don't have to use starter. So I just use that starter because I think it tastes good. You can use, so for instance, a lot of people who have been diagnosed with SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, they start with only Bifido. They can only use Bifido. Fine. We just use the Bifido. It makes a great yogurt. It just works. I was just getting too fancy. I can't do the same thing like twice. But you don't have to use a starter. And in fact, for a lot of different issues like histamine intolerance, a lot of different autoimmune things, we can't use the starter because it just has too many different things in there that we can't tolerate. It's hard to get a starter that's non-dairy. Or maybe you just don't want to pay for it. That starter's like $38, right? I buy it because it's vegan and gluten-free. You can do this in a different way. Yeah.
Some people are talking about using their Instapot as an...
Yeah, totally. So I did a demo with my Instapot, and everybody was like, but I don't have one. I love using the Instapot. And I also have a rice cooker that has a yogurt setting. If you're using some models of the Instant Pot, you have to go in and like tell it to not cook the yogurt, because I like to just keep it that stable temperature. I don't want to heat it up and then cool it down and then add my probiotic, right? It works a lot better with milk. I'm not using milk. So I want to add my probiotic and then just keep it a steady temperature. So you have to tweak the settings a bit, but I love doing it in an Instant Pot. It's already covered. It's a very controlled environment. Love it. Love doing it in my dehydrator too.
Isn't the Instapot metal, someone asked?
Yeah. So stainless steel in there is a good enough quality that it seems to work. If you have a rice cooker that has a ceramic bowl, not a Teflon bowl, but a ceramic bowl, that can work really well too. Yeah, for me, it's worth buying an appliance like that to do this because it's something that I'm going to use all the time with my family, right?
Earlier, Val asked what your thoughts are on using Megaspore probiotic.
Okay, so I like to do specific ferments with the Megaspore. I like to ferment ginger and turmeric, and like these are things that we do in the Friendly Flora. I like to make natto. You can make natto out of all sorts of different things, not just soybeans if you don't do soy, because the bacteria in Megaspore have a particular flavor. They do have a flavor. If you make yogurt with Megaspore, I don't know, 9 out of 10 people say they don't like it. And like 1 out of 10 people is like, oh, that was good. And I'm like, huh. It doesn't taste great. I need it to taste good. There's so many great things in the world. I want it to taste good. I want my yogurt to be good. So I hope that's not too disappointing for you.
The Restore probiotic?
Yeah, so the Restore is more than a probiotic. It's a mineral supplement. There are amino acids in there. There's a lot more going on. That's not going to start a yogurt for you. It's a great product. Like, if you're going to do it, please go slow with it. But yeah, not going to help with the making the yogurt.
So Tia asked, I have some camel milk kefir.
Mm-hmm.
Can I add bifido to it and ferment it longer?
Huh. You can. This would be like a rogue experiment. The Saccharomyces boulardii that are in the kefir are very strong. Like, strong, not like strong tasting. So the bifidum are not like, strong, tough like that. So they might just not grow because the other bacteria might like overrun them. If I were to do this, I would do like the bifido first and then inoculate my kefir. Does that make sense? I would almost like do bifido first in the camel milk if that's what you're going to do. And then add enough kefir to it that you can do a secondary ferment with the kefir. I would keep the kefir grains separate so they don't get polluted with the bifido. Does this make sense? I like to do the secondary ferments. It's something that we do with the kefir in the modules and that I do in my kitchen because I like to keep the grains as pure as possible. Does this make sense? This is a good question. This is so fun.
So will the migrating motor complexes not sweep out the probiotics while we sleep if we take at bedtime? Asked Thea. Now, of course, Thea is in functional probiotics, so she knows a lot.
Yeah, this is good. So yes, there is migrating motor complex. Yes, the migrating motor complex does help to move bacteria along. They won't move the bacteria all out of the small intestine. What we're hoping for is that you'd eat a meal, there'd be migrating motor complex, and then you'd drink this thing, right? So ideally, like first thing in the morning, before you've eaten anything, so that because really migrating motor complex is triggered like 3 hours after you eat, type thing. There are a couple different migrating motor complexes, but the one that I'm thinking we're talking about is the one that's like triggered 3 hours after you eat, and also works while you sleep. Yeah, it's a really good question. Yeah.
Do you find it to be true 72 Saccharomyces boulardii kills Clostridia?
Some great studies that are showing that. To be perfectly honest, I find that Saccharomyces boulardii also can cause reactions in a lot of people. So it's not my go-to thing to do with Clostridia, because the risk, I always just weigh out the risk of all my different options. The risk is higher with the Saccharomyces boulardii, to be super straight with you. But great studies showing that they can do that. It's just, I'm more interested in what really helps the real people in front of me. I find Lactobacillus plantarum and bifidobacteria and a combination of herbs to actually deal directly with the Clostridia would be my first choice. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome for these questions. These are fun questions. Yeah, and like, where else could we like ever talk about this? Like, when else are we ever going to have this conversation? Right, I keep forgetting. Please go to stephjackson.com/Flora. Yeah. If you, yeah, to sign up for the program. Yeah, and then we'll get started right away and we'll have the kickoff call. Any more questions? Are there any questions, Rooker? Thea, if you do this crazy experiment with the milk, let me know how it goes.
The question, do you have a book?
No, would you come stay at my house and write a book with me? It's the writing the book part that I really don't want to do.
But as an educator, you like to teach properly. So.
But I do recognize that some people learn better through reading. Some people learn better through doing. Some people learn better through hearing. I think because I learn better through hearing, I'm a motor mouth. But I would love to have as much of this information written down as possible. And that's why I work so hard on creating these programs, really, because that's step one for me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, earlier she also asked, like, with the North American diet you were talking about, that the bifidobacteria kind of left in general our system. Like, where did they go? How did that happen, that they were pushed out?
What I mean is, with the North American diet and lifestyle, like with stress, I'm actually talking a lot about stress here. We need more bifidobacteria. There are certain parts of the world, there are certain tribes, people who live very traditional lifestyles and have no vegetables at all. Like, if you are living a traditional Inuit lifestyle, or if you're living like in an African village and you have no vegetables, you probably don't need bifido. You need a lot of other stuff. You don't need to worry about glucose metabolism because you need to hold on to all the fat you can possibly get, because there are periods of starvation. So for those people, bifido, not a big deal. We don't need to tinker with that. For us, you know, like it or not, like even raw food or paleo or any of these modified North American diets, we need to be able to metabolize sugar in our foods. We need to have a certain assistance with our hormones because we are high stress a lot of the time. You know, things just happen, and we're all working and juggling a family, and you know, it just happens. We need more bifido, period. So there's a genetic variant, the FUT2 that we were talking about. And in a lot of those traditional colonies, this makes a whole lot of sense. For people who deal with long periods of starvation, FUT2 is going to really help them out. For us, like, unless we're really fasting a lot, really not going to help us out. And even if we are fasting, like, we need more bifido over here. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so it's not so much that they've left us, other than the fact that we don't treat them very well a lot of the time. So they probably have left us. but it's more that we need them for the lifestyles that we choose. The genetic variation I'm talking about is FUT and then the number 2. If you've done your 23andMe or anything like that. Basically, it's about our bodies. Some of our bodies can directly feed the bifidum without food through our intestinal mucosa. We send them both signals and we almost send them food. And some of us do not. And so for those of us that do not and that are choosing to eat like somewhat normal food from our perspective, they may need to just continue bifido over and over and over again. And I find that with a lot of people that, like when we do the genetic test, it's not a very common variant, but with the people that I end up dealing with known gut issues, it is. And so that's why it's so important to get these foods like happening in your kitchen over and over and over again. Whoa. Hello. Yeah, bifidos for our dog. So definitely if your dog is eating any kind of a processed, like no judgy here. We've got kibble. Yeah, bifido can be very helpful. Also the soil-based organisms and especially the lactobacillus for our dogs can be really helpful. Unfortunately, the only things that are available for sale are things that have been largely studied on humans and rats because that's like, I mean, the most money that they can make is on humans. So we're not really doing like a dog specific thing, but we have found that some of these bacteria can help our dogs too. This is such a good question. Okay, there are like a whole bunch of people that are really into probiotics for dogs that are, gosh, I don't know what program they're in. I think they're in the functional probiotics. Yeah, there's a handful of people that, and then one of them is a vet and another one is just like a dog lover. And they recognize that this is an area that is missing for our pets and that what we're really doing for them probiotic wise is abysmal. So people have been experimenting with producing these foods for their pets. Yeah, I hope that is somewhat helpful. This is so cute. But cats are different, right? Because cats are not eating carbs. Cats are not eating carbs at all. So anyway, the lactobacillus is still helpful. Soil-based bacteria is helpful. So Ying is asking, if the GI effects test shows a normal level of bifido, is it still helpful to supplement? My question is, what were you doing when you took the test? If you were supplementing with bifido and you took the test and it said it was normal, just keep supplementing. If you weren't doing anything and you took the test and it was normal, congratulations, don't do anything. Does this make sense? I always find if you're going to need to, do any kind of antibiotics or if you're going on a herbal protocol, following that up or in conjunction with it, doing some bifido is a really good idea. Cool, Thea. Yeah, you've inspired me too. I'm going to try doing this bifido but I have to do it with non-dairy, so we'll talk. Yeah, thanks, Ying. These are great questions. Yeah. Yeah, this is really great. This is really great. I love having this conversation with you. What can they do if they still have questions or if they're watching the replay and they have questions?
They can email Rutger.
Okay, so if you have questions that haven't been answered for some reason, or if you're watching the replay, and if there is a replay, you can email Rutger, R-U-T-G-E-R, at stephjackson.com. Okay? Yeah. So Ying, just to like oversimplify, I really like biocidin. I like the product biocidin. I like to use different forms of that. I'm really pro getting something in a liquid so that it can get distribution, but the capsules can go further. I'm really in favor of hardcore bifido and lactobacillus plantarum. Yeah, I'm for avoiding the foods that can feed them for a short time. Whether that's fasting or whether that's FODMAPs, it depends on the person. I would test out the Saccharomyces boulardii and just see how they react to it. If they get any sort of headache or if they get, exhausted or anything like that, then just take them off of it. Yeah. Okay, this is awesome. So again, stephjackson.com/Flora. Sign up for the program. We're going to talk. We're going to have more calls. We're going to, really get into this together. I just want to customize stuff. I want an influx of like new people that I can customize stuff for. So let's do this. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, I was just so grateful for you being here. It's been a long winter. It's been a really fun call. So I'll see you in the community. I'll see you in the newsletters. I'll see you on Facebook. And I'll see you in the program. So yeah, really great. Thanks for being here. It was so fun. Okay, bye.